WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 12 p.m. here in Dakar and Banjul, 1 p.m. in Abuja. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio Broadcasting on 94.9 FM around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Mali unveils the draft National Charter for Peace and Reconciliation. Liberia launches national outreach campaign for anti-corruption and war crimes court.
Successful implementation has the potential to facilitate access to justice for the victims of human rights violation and abuses committed during the 14 years of civil war. It will contribute to Liberia's path toward justice and foster lasting peace and development opportunities.
Police seize large cache of arms in southeastern Nigeria, and Guinea prepares for September 21 referendum amid dispute over voter register.
When they claim that the Kankan region is more populated than Conakry or even more than all other regions, it's pure nonsense. We do not accept it.
Please stay tuned for details of these and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
My name is Sankule Janko. Many thanks for joining our broadcast and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. Well, let's begin in Mali, where the authorities has presented the draft charter for peace and reconciliation, the outcome of over 6 months of consultations both within the country and the diaspora. The document was unveiled on Sunday, July 20, during a workshop in Bamako led by Prime Minister Abdoulaye Maiga, and is set to be formally submitted to the head of state on Tuesday, July 22, at the Koluba Palace. Emo Edet completes the rest of the story.
This charter represents a shift away from the 2015 Algiers Agreement, which transitional authorities view as no longer reflective of the nation's current realities. Instead, it promotes a homegrown peace process rooted in national institutions, traditions and values. Usman Yusufu Mega, who chaired the drafting committee, described the charter as an inclusive framework guided by the principles of the 2023 Constitution, namely integrity, justice and solidarity. Prime Minister Mega hailed the initiative as a historic assertion of sovereignty, underlining the government's intent to reclaim ownership of the reconciliation process. The submission of the charter was delayed slightly to allow for expanded input and final refinements. Against the backdrop of ongoing security in northern and central Mali, authorities see the charter as a key instrument for rebuilding state institutions and fostering national unity. A nationwide communication campaign will soon be launched to promote awareness and support among citizens and key institutions.
Imo Edet Afal that report. Liberia has launched a nationwide outreach campaign for calls on the establishment of specialized court for anti-corruption and war crimes. The initiative aims to educate the public, rally support and foster transparency and justice as part of broader efforts to strengthen the rule of law and promote national reconciliation. The launch held in Monrovia was attended by government officials, civil society organizations, international partners and key stakeholders. WADR's Abraham Parker reports.
The campaign will employ community dialogues, media engagements, and educational programs to raise awareness about the importance of the court in addressing past atrocities and reducing corruption. Councillor Jala Bapu, Executive Director of the Office for the Establishment of the World and Economic Crimes Court, emphasized the critical need for broad national participation to combat impunity and uphold the rule of law.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommendations must be implemented. It is the guidepost governs the work and the process we are involved in today. The objective is to ensure accountability.
Also speaking at the event, UN Representative Christine Omutuni highlighted the court's role in fostering peace and development.
Successful implementation has the potential to facilitate access to justice for the victims of human rights violation and abuses committed during the 14 years of civil war. It will contribute to Liberia's path toward justice and foster lasting peace and and development opportunities.
For his part, Councillor Dempster Bryan, chairman of the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, raised the concerns over ongoing challenges.
The war crime code is very important. There are people in our society today that cannot live without confusion. The mistake that we made is to have elected people who kill people to go in the House of Senate and representative. The war crime code establishment is being undermined. People who in the Senate and House of Representatives.
The court is expected to be operational by 2027. For years, civil society groups, women, and veterans of Liberia's civil wars have called for the creation of this special court. They reiterated their call for the government to remain committed to delivering justice and addressing past atrocities. For WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Let's move to security matters now, because authorities in southeast Nigeria have recovered a dangerous cache of weapons ranging from AK-47s to locally fabricated rocket launchers following a sweeping crackdown on suspected separatists and kidnapped gangs. The operation, which also led to the rescue of dozens of kidnapped victims and trafficked children, raises fresh concerns about the scale of weaponization among non-state actors in the region. WDR's Usman Omar has details, including insight from a regional security analyst.
In what it describes as one of its most significant breakthroughs in recent times, the Imo State Police Command says it has arrested over 2,700 suspects linked to serious crimes ranging from terrorism to child trafficking and cultism. Working with the anti-kidnapping unit and tactical formations, police say they dismantled a camp belonging to the Proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra (IPOB) and its armed wing ESN in Njaba local government area. The operation led to the arrest of several key figures including Amechi Onyebuchi and Cyprian Ikpe-Bunam, as well as the recovery of a stunning array of weapons, 14 AK-47s, 2 general-purpose machine guns, 4 fabricated rocket launchers, gas cylinder explosives, and 7 locally made hand grenades. Authorities say these suspects were behind deadly attacks on security facilities and public infrastructure, as well as the kidnap and murder of a man identified as Emmanuel Oguze. Beyond separatist activity, the crackdown expanded to kidnap gangs. 2 suspects were arrested for abducting a local resident and extorting a ransom of 2.2 million naira. But the scale and sophistication of the weapons seized is sparking broader fears, says Hamza Suleiman, a security and counter-terrorism expert in the Lake Chad area.
The fact that these actors possess machine guns, rocket launchers, and improvised explosive device indicates a worrying erosion of state monopoly over the use of force. It challenges not only the operational capacity of law enforcement agency, but also threatens national cohesion and public confidence in government authority. And these weapons, when in the hands of the unregulated groups, enable more coordinated, deadlier, and protracted violence, undermining internal security, economic stability.
Meanwhile, police say they also apprehended a cult leader linked to a gruesome 2023 killing in Orlu and have vowed that all suspects will face prosecution. Authorities are therefore calling for continued public support and vigilance to keep the momentum against violent crime. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now to some election-related stories. In Guinea, preparations are in full swing for the September 21 referendum. Over the weekend, the government unveiled the official voter register drawn from the latest biometric civil registry exercise. The electoral roll includes more than 6.7 million voters, figures now contested by sections of the opposition. Augustine Colley reports.
For months, the credibility of the voter register has been a subject of sharp debate in Guinea. While opposition members continue to question the biometric registration process, Prime Minister Amadou Ureba maintains that the new register represents a major step towards free and fair elections.
This marks a major historic step. Since independence, we've never really had reliable tools to properly support the process of devolving power.
Meanwhile, political party leaders and pro-transition civil society groups have unanimously expressed support for the process. Mohamed Lamin Kaba, president of the Fidel Party, and Gabriel Haba, president of the CNOSG, both publicly endorsed the initiative.
At first, we were very skeptical, but the outcome presented today is quite reassuring. What the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, MATD, has done is a Republican act that shows the state's commitment to transparency.
Regionally, Kankan tops the voter list with 2,089,320 registered voters, followed by the capital, Conakry, with 1,992,986 registered voters. But the opposition coalition, Forces Varvets de Guinea, represented by Rafiu Sow, has challenged these figures.
When they claim that the Kankan region is more populated than Conakry or even more than all other regions, it's pure nonsense. We do not accept it.
According to the Electoral Commission, the next phase will involve publishing the electoral lists, allowing voters one final opportunity to verify their personnel details.
Cherno Alpha Ibrahim Baldez report presented by Augustine Coley. Away from elections in Benin, President Patrice Talon met with private sector leaders last Friday at the Presidential Palace, a forum aimed at listening to the concerns of business leaders. The Beninese head of state expressed his desire to build a thriving investment ecosystem in partnership with local actors. Abdullahi Hassan reports.
By initiating this meeting, President Patrice Talon said his objective is to strengthen the country's economy by fostering greater trust and collaboration with the private sector. He called on business leaders to play a more active role in driving economic growth.
I am pleased to see that over the past 5, 6, 7 years, Benin has been making good progress and is sending a strong signal of advancement. This means that if we maintain this momentum, we can continue to grow. This is why the entire government expresses its gratitude as this progress sends the message of a country that is beginning to inspire confidence.
The president emphasized the importance of maintaining a business-friendly environment to support economic expansion. Private sector leaders welcomed the opportunity for dialogue and pledged their commitment to supporting the president's vision. Ahead of the meeting, the business community submitted a platform of 11 tax reform proposals for 2025. These include reducing the minimum tax threshold, easing payroll taxes, exempting local products from VAT, revising pharmacy profit margins, and standardizing local development contributions. According to the private sector, these proposals aim to enhance business competitiveness, improve the investment climate, and optimize government revenue collection.
Custody correspondent Aziz Adam Sulei's report presented by Abdullahi Hassan. In Togo, the official results of last Thursday's municipal elections are still pending. However, the Electoral Observation Mission of the Council of the Tentent has already presented its preliminary assessment. The Independent National Electoral Commission, CENI, has also published official electoral figures. Christopher Atichu has the rest of the report.
Speaking to the press on Saturday, the Electoral Observation Mission highlighted its key observations after visiting more than 120 polling stations across Greater Lomé and the Maritime region on Election Day. Professor Katie Nifura Adama Ouattara is the Director General of Integration Policies at the Ivorian Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
The Electoral Observation Mission of the Council of the Entente has, with complete objectivity, made the following initial observations. Voters cast their ballots with discipline, calm, and serenity. The election, based on what was observed, appeared to be genuine and transparent.
The mission also made a series of recommendations to the electoral authorities, political actors, and other stakeholders to further strengthen the electoral process.
To the government, strengthen the resources of the Independent National Electoral Commission and enhance the capacity of the Supreme Court to enable it to better fulfill its duties during municipal and potentially regional elections. To the Independent National Electoral Commission, improve the training of polling station staff to make them more competent in managing the voting process. To political parties, raise awareness among supporters to encourage active participation in elections and promote women's involvement in the process of devolving power. To save a society, continue efforts in civic and voter education.
Electoral.
This election marks the first municipal vote under Togo's renewed institutional framework, shaped by the adoption of the Fifth Republic and the ongoing effort to advance decentralization. Provisional results are expected any moment, though early trends began emerging on Sunday.
Lome correspondent Sylvie Guadrago's report presented by Christopher Atijo. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Mali unveils draft national charter for peace and reconciliation. Liberia launches nationwide outreach campaign for anti-corruption and war crimes court. Police seize large cache of arms in southeastern Nigeria. And Guinea prepares for September 21 referendum amid dispute over voter register. Still ahead in the news, we have press review, guest interview, and sport news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Ghana's new patriotic party, NPP, has approved a wide-ranging set of constitutional amendments during an extraordinary delegates conference held in Accra over the weekend. The reforms include the abolition of the special electoral college system and the expansion of the delegates base for electing the party's presidential candidate by 40%. The constitutional overhaul follows the NPP's loss in the 2024 general elections, a defeat that triggered intense internal debates and demands for reform. The party has scheduled its next presidential primary for January 31, 2026 as part of efforts to reposition ahead of the 2028 elections. Nadi Tete has the rest of the details.
More than 5,000 delegates gathered at the University of Ghana Stadium to consider 56 proposed constitutional amendments submitted by the party's Constitutional Amendment Committee, chaired by Frank Davis. By the close of the conference, 54 of the proposals had been approved. One of the most significant, the abolition of the special electoral college system, paves way for a 40% expansion of the presidential primary delegate base.
Article 1319 of the Constitution to completely abolish and do away with the special electoral college and super delegates system.
Chairman, the special electoral college system, which was introduced in the 2009 constitutional amendment to shortlist aspiring presidential candidates, is believed to have outlived its usefulness. This is recommended, Chairman.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The expanded structure now includes members of key party organs. Another reform approved makes the national chairman the recognized leader of the party at all times, regardless of whether the party is in government or in opposition, a shift from the current dual leadership arrangement. Also adopted was a rule requiring government appointees and CEOs contesting internal elections to resign clear 24 months before polls open. However, two proposals failed to secure approval. One sought to lower the youth organizer age limit from 40 to 35. The other aimed to grant regional and constituency executives oversight over electoral area and polling station elections, a move critics said would breed undue interference for WADR. Nadedi Tete, Accra.
In Burkina Faso, journalists Luc Pac-Belguem and Bukari Uba were released at the end of last week. Their release follows that of other critics of the military authorities who, after spending several months under requisition for the fight against terrorism, have been reunited with their families. This wave of releases has come without any official explanation from the authorities. The World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, has welcomed the development, but is urging the government to free all the remaining human rights defenders still being held. Here is Senior Advisor for Africa at the OMCT, Isidore Nguelu,
En réalité, nous saluons la libération de ces différents défenseurs des droits humains.
We welcome the release of these Burkinabe human rights defenders, though it's important to stress that none of this follows any legal process or judicial framework. From the start, we condemned the abductions and enforced the disappearances carried out under the guise of requisition, which clearly violated Burkinabe's international human rights obligations. Now, with a few individuals released, first 4 and then 2, it appears arbitrary and there is no clarity on why they were freed or whether others still held will also be released. This uncertainty leaves families in a constant state of anxiety, a form of ill treatment in itself. We urge the authorities to immediately and unconditionally release all those detained for their critical views and to also repeal the requisition law altogether.
En fait, la loi sur les réquisitions elle-même puisse être purement et simplement abrogée.
Senior Advisor for Africa at the World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, Isidore Ngwelu.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's join our Abuja correspondent Usman Umar in Nigeria for today's newspaper review.
This is the press review coming to you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We begin with the Punch newspaper, and Punch is leading with this story. Presidential aide slams Kemi Badenoch over Nigeria's citizenship claim. A top aide of Nigerian president, that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has criticized a UK conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, for her comments on Nigerian citizenship rights, calling them quote-unquote irresponsible and damaging to Nigeria-UK relations. This reflects growing diplomatic sensitivity around national identity issues. Another story from the Punch says millions of naira lost as fire guts Oyo factory. A massive blaze at a manufacturing facility in Ibadan, that is Oyo State, southwestern Nigeria, destroyed an estimated millions of naira worth of goods and equipment. Investigators are probing suspected lapses in fire safety compliance. And finally, from the Punch newspaper, doctors to begin nationwide strike on Thursday. The Nigerian Medical Association has threatened a full-scale strike starting July 23rd, over unmet demands for improved working conditions and implementation of the 70,000 naira minimum wage. We now move to Vanguard newspaper, which is leading with this: Buhari, end of an era of 12 million block votes. Vanguard today reflects on the legacy of late President Buhari, formalizing his departure as the end of an era defined by promise, controversy, and political bloc voting patterns. Of course, the piece contextualizes his influence on Nigeria's political alignment. And next story, Peter Obi is already planning to leave ADC. This is according to Dumebi Kachuku. Dumebi Kachuku claims former Labour Party flag bearer Peter Obi may leave African Democratic Congress due to internal disagreements on ticket allocation, potentially reshaping opposition alliances ahead of 2027 general election. And finally, from the Vanguard, Tinubu's failure to appoint envoys hurts Nigeria's global image. This is according to ADC. That's the much we have for you on Press Review for today as I hand you back to the studios.
Thank you very much, Usman Omar, with the newspaper review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, in Liberia, a major step forward in the fight for justice and accountability. A nationwide outreach campaign has been launched to raise public awareness around the creation of a specialized court for anti-corruption and war crimes. The campaign, unveiled in Monrovia, brings together government officials, civil society groups, international partners, and other key stakeholders, all aiming to strengthen the rule of law and promote national reconciliation. Joining us now is Dr. Aaron Ware, a transitional scholar and director of Dakar Institute for Social and Economic Research.
It's a very laudable effort. This has been one of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 16 years ago. But it hasn't happened because of the nature of our politics. But under Joseph Boakai administration, he's committed to implementing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report.
What does this national awareness campaign among stakeholders like yourself specifically hope to achieve?
Well, I think after so many years of trying to avoid implementation of the TRC recommendation, after you have a few part of the Liberian society that is very hostile towards the idea of criminal accountability. The purpose of the outreach campaign is to send a clear message that the War Crime Code is very important for Liberia. It's not there for revenge, it's not there for witch hunting, and it is an important exercise to institute measures of deterrent, and it's an important exercise to clear the names of Liberians who may not be guilty. So it is, think about the outreach as a great opportunity to address misconceptions of the process, to address misunderstanding of the process, and rather to provide very clear information about what the entire office is about. And lastly, to increase public confidence in the office.
Talking about, the hostility towards, this idea, in that case, what challenges do you anticipate in gaining public trust and support for the establishment of this code?
Well, you have the signatories of the Accra Peace Agreement. The signatories to the Accra Peace Agreements are former heads of warring factions, as senior commanders of warring factions who have been against the very idea of the code. They have been threatening that if any one of them is arrested, there will be a problem and it will be counterproductive to Liberia's stability. So part of this outreach campaign is to mobilize the society, mobilize all key stakeholders to be on board, and that these sort of threats do not manifest in any particular order.
How does this initiative align with the broader national reconciliation and transitional justice efforts in Liberia, especially for communities affected by past conflicts and corruption as well?
It's a very important question you've asked. Reconciliation in general is a long-term initiative. And depending on who you ask in Liberia, for some, reconciliation would mean an element of restorative justice. For others, reconciliation would mean criminal accountability for war crimes. So we are trying to introduce a wide range of measures, from traditional dispute resolution mechanism to memorialization, and then to areas of criminal accountability. So reconciliation is wide ranging, and it means different things to different people. And so we're trying to make sure we have the different options available, and introducing the element of criminal accountability increases the option for reconciliation.
Dr. Aaron Ware is a transitional scholar and director of Duke Institute for Social and Economic Research. Of course, and in sports news, I have Abdullahi Hassan in the studio.
Very well, Sankule Janko.
And we are talking about some things in the CAF. Seems like they've unveiled something.
That makes the big news in the sporting world this week, I guess, which is the launch of the official poster today, celebrating African football's energy and culture. Now, the vibrant design features iconic East African landmarks and symbols reflecting the Pamoja values of harmony and solidarity. The 2024 edition of the Total Energy CAF African Nations Championship CHAN will be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania from August 2nd to 30th, 2025, a historic first for East Africa.
I guess then that must have the reason, the theme for the unveiling for the poster. And finally, you have something else on the 20?
Exactly. So Nigeria's Flying Eagles are through to final of the 2025 WAFU Under 20 Championship after edging Niger Republic 4-3 in the tense penalty shootout on Sunday in Cape Coast. The semi-final ended goalless in regulation time, forcing a shootout under the tournament's no extra time format. So Nigeria held their nerve to convert 4 penalties and secure the win.
That makes you happy. You are smiling.
Yes, at least they're making a good comeback this season.
Well, Nigeria are known to be doing very well in the youth category. Abdullah Hassan, thank you very much with the sports. And we have come to the end of this edition of the Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Faluso and Umudanyogo for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms X and Instagram at WDR News, on Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is WDR's flagship health program, Well Body with Imo Edit. I am Sankule Janko. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7.